Is there a memory that stands out to you right now in this moment?
I mean, probably equal pay chance after the final. And I think, they were saying equal pay, but could have been saying a lot of things. I think this team has always fought for so much more, and that's been the most rewarding part for me. Of course, playing in World Cups and winning championships and doing all that, but, to know that we've used our really special talent to do something that's really changed the world forever. I think that means the most to me, and the players in this locker room here, they're just getting started, and to all the players that I've played with, obviously, who know what it's like to be in the grind. That's the best part.
Hey there, guys, welcome to the channel. So let's talk a little bit about U.S. women's soccer. So we all know they had a pretty rough spot in the World Cup, especially with Megan Rapinoe completely shanking that penalty shot, which leads me to believe she might actually be onto something when she talks about trans women joining the team, because a trans woman would have absolutely crushed that shot. But in all seriousness, I do feel a little bit bad for her because she did airmail it, and it was, that moment at least was all on her. But nothing in sports should come down to one goal or one moment. I mean, there's many times in the game that could have done different and all that. But anyway, but the funny thing is, when she was asked after the game about her proudest moment, she highlighted the equal pay debate instead of talking about any match-winning performance or talking about her team. And she literally did nothing but virtue signal when talking about all the time she's talked about, the pay gap. Because here's the thing, she just took care of herself. She's probably the only female soccer star making the kind of cash that she is. But, I do get it. Fighting for equal pay is important, but, maybe the focus shifted a little bit too much off the field. And soccer legend Alexi Lalas, you guys all know him, and Lloyd, they've been pretty vocal about this, especially Carly, man. She was pretty critical about the team's mindset during the World Cup, saying that it's like their heads weren't totally in the game. And I get the importance of off-the-field issues, but especially when it's game time, man, when you're on the world stage and you're representing us and you want to win, there's a balance for sure to be had. And that's just my 2 cents on that. But let me know your comments and have a look at this, guys.
You better than anybody have experienced this team for a number of years on and off the field, and what it is and what it isn't, and the way that you see it right now. When you look at this team, especially in the cold, harsh light of day of going out in the round of 16, historically the worst finish of any women's national team in a World Cup. What are some of the things that you either see now or you saw when you were with the team that in that moment you said, this is not going to end well?
Well, I think when I first got onto the team, there was just a level of respect for everybody there, for coaches, for other players, for support staff, massages, trainers, doctors. And as the years have kind of gone by, it's little stuff, but it kind of amounts to big things and ultimately, effects on the field. But, if you've got a massage, let's say, for example, your name's signed up on a certain time, and you decide to not show up, and you decide to not text the massage therapist or tell them, hey, I'm running a few minutes late, and they're just sitting there, and they have to just sit there, and they have to kind of swallow that and not really say anything to the player that's done that. So there's just things like that. It's like, trash around the field. It's throwing your warm up and expecting the equipment guy. It's just, there's a level of, I guess, not everybody, but there's a level of just kind of the entitlement of everybody's going to do everything for you and just not being respectful of others. And I think that starts at the top, and that should be the coach, and that should be the leader, and then it should funnel on down to the players.
Well, I mean, you're talking about responsibility and respect ultimately. And that, I think when people hear that, they can relate, because look, you're a legend and you have lived at an elite level from a sporting perspective for so long, and we try to get a glimpse into who you are as an athlete. But there are a lot of things that you're talking about that apply to life, and we all deal with the sporting world, but we also deal with the business world, and little things matter. They say don't sweat the small stuff, and yes, there are things that you don't need to worry about. but there are little things that accumulate over time, and they can be detrimental to whatever that goal is. And so I'm glad that you were able to give some real concrete details here rather than kind of talking abstraction, because I think it's important. And that's a wonderful example right there that kind of illustrates what I think is some of the frustration that you see, because all of this stuff that you talk about, it comes from a good place, I think. And I don't want to speak for you. It comes from a good place. You want this team to do well. You want this team not only to live up to the past, but to do even better. But when you see things, and this isn't you grumpy old womaning it or by any stretch of the imagination, but these little things, they do matter going forward. And so I'm glad that you said that. Mossy, anything?
There's a ton more, but
that's all right.
the respect.
We want to let you
factor.
sleep tonight. We don't, we can't go on.
We could be here all night.
All right, so here's the deal. We're talking about responsibility and respect. But, here we're all talking about women's soccer for all the wrong reasons. And why? Well, that's a great question, But really the answer is because this is what this particular team has given to us. They made it about everything other than soccer. And then when it came time to actually soccer, they choked, man, and they choked hard. And speaking of soccer, I talked about Alexi earlier. Did you guys see Alexi Lalas' tweet? So the guy, if you don't know, is an absolute soccer freaking legend. And no doubt, he's earned his spot. He's in the National Soccer Hall of Fame. And he chimed in on U.S. women's team, their loss to Sweden. And he suggested that, their political stances and behavior is the only thing really that has made them unpopular. If you put up a good fight, American people don't care if you lose as long as you try to win. But he hinted that, if they're not the best on the field. So because they're not the best on the field and they're unpopular with their stances and their agendas, I guess what he implied was that some people believe that they're too focused on politics, and then maybe, just maybe, that's why they got knocked out early in an early game. And, a take that makes sense to me. And look, I don't know soccer, but I know people, and I know what it takes to win. So the guy's probably completely spot on. That said, CNN, they didn't like it. They did not take kindly to Lalas' tweet. They even dedicated an entire segment to discuss if this wokeness had anything to do with the team's performance. But I'll get to a lot of that. But first, guys, thanks to everyone that's been subscribing and leaving such great comments. We really appreciate you. And if you haven't already, please help us with the algorithm. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the Common Sense Garage. Help us get our message to the masses, because every time you do, the leftist loses their wings.
This team has inspired sort of a flood of armchair analysts who are chiming in, including people who know nothing about soccer, some who do. Former President Donald Trump posted a rant on Truth Social. He said in part, woke equals failure. The former U.S. men's national team player turned commentator Alexi Lalas tweeted, "Don't kill the messenger. This team is polarizing. Politics, causes, stances, and behavior have made this team unlikable to a portion of America." I mean, we should note that his record, if you put it up against, say, Megan Rapinoe's, it pales quite in comparison. But what do you say to critics who are saying that this is a team that lost because they're too woke? Or are they just, what do you think about that?
I completely disagree. I think the reason that this team was unable to do the greatness that it's used to doing has nothing to do with any of the things that these people mentioned. I think that having so many rookies on the team in positions of expectation of carrying the team, with Sophia Smith, for example, Trinity Rodman up top, expecting them to score a bunch of goals when it's their first time playing on a national team major tournament. Vlatko playing, different lineups a lot. I don't think it has anything to do with the amazing achievements that we have done off the pitch and the way that we have as a group stood up for those who can't speak up for themselves. That's something that we have done for 30 years and obviously has not been something that has hindered us in winning championships. We will win again, whether it's in the Olympic Games or the World Cup. In the future, we will. And we are the standard bearers for women all over this world. And if that's what it takes to be able to help other women in this country and other countries stand up and fight for what they deserve, then I, for one, am very proud of being someone who does that. And I hope the team will continue to do so. And I will do my part in that as well.
Yeah, so Brianna Keilar seemed to be trying to compare Alexi Lalas and Megan Rapinoe. But come on, man, they played totally different roles on the soccer field. Lalas was a defender. Rapinoe, she's all about offense. So obviously she's going to score more and she's going to assist more. It's literally comparing apples and oranges. You know, even I know that. And pretty much everything I know about soccer, I learned from watching Ted Lasso. And, also think about the competition. The U.S. women's team, they're expected to win because they've set the bar that high. And they're competing against other countries that they don't put the emphasis on women's soccer like we do. With the men's team, it's an entirely different ballgame, pretty much literally an entirely different ballgame. Soccer is the world's most popular sport neck and neck with Formula One, which is my most popular sport. So the men face insane competition. So when the women's team doesn't clinch a win, people are going to be disappointed. What Carly Lloyd and Alexi Lalas, what they said about the team not being detail oriented, it's spot on. It's spot on, and it mirrors what's happening truly not just with that team, but in work cultures pretty much everywhere today. People are not valuing a traditional work ethic. People don't show up on time. People don't dress appropriately. They don't care about the small things. And honestly, the small things are what adds up in any business, in anything that you're going to do, especially a professional setting. Now, people just are trying to do enough to get by with, they don't even invest in what they're actually doing. And guys, that's never going to work, ever going to work, especially in athletics of any kind. That's not going to fly in freaking pickleball, And the U.S. women's soccer team, they are the perfect example, unfortunately. Their focus seemed split between playing the game and pushing agendas, from equal pay to LGBTQIA plus rights. But here's the deal, man. Their platform, their voice, it all came because they were champions. If you aren't performing at your best, people are not going to listen, no matter how great and virtuous you think you sound. Winning has got to be the priority. If not, really, what is the point? In our daily lives, man, settling for mediocrity, that is not going to work. That's not going to get us anywhere. We got to give our best to get our best in everything. But, that's how you stay ahead in the game. And that's how sports works. I can't imagine soccer's any different. If you're distracted, not focus on the main goal, no pun intended, it'll always show in your results eventually. Maybe not, win for win, but it'll always show up eventually. But so the U.S. soccer team, I think, were distracted. Distractions might just have affected the training for the game and the game itself. The bottom line, focus and hard work. That's it. If you want to make a difference, you have to be there at the end. Anyway, that's just my take, guys. Let me know your take in the comments. And if you haven't already, please make sure to like, subscribe, most importantly, share the Common Sense Garage. We'll see you in the next one.